moving into another question that has come in, and this is working with goals. And this also came up from the Facebook page, Rory.
It did, and it kind of links into the last thing about reviews, really, doesn't it?
It does.
It does in a way. And it's from Gemma Price, who's a member of our Facebook page. Hi, Gemma. I'm waving. So there we go. And she says, hi, I'm writing an essay. And I thought I would ask for feedback on your experiences with working with goals with clients, advantages, disadvantages, and challenges.
Yeah.
And thoughts gratefully received. Thank you. Well, there you have it.
Like it.
Yeah. So yes, goals. Well, I think it's an interesting one. As Rogers said, and I love to quote Rogers in my podcast. In the podcast, all behaviour is goal directed, and I think that's an interesting idea that people do sets of behaviours to attain a payback of something. And the same thing really happens in therapy, where people are changing their behaviours. In person-centered therapy, the goals are really when we ask clients what they want to change, and it links into the therapy contract. And again, I'm going to talk about contracting in Practice Matters. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the therapy contract. But I think there's an old adage, an old saying: without a goal, you cannot score. You can't score without a goalpost. So my view is that you ask clients what they want to change. Now, the advantages of that is that the client can see what they're working towards. In my view, the disadvantages, if you've got a client who has a history of overly pleasing people, you may very well just make stuff up.
Yeah.
And I think that's the danger. It comes down, again, to experience, the relationship, and how you put over this, because what you don't want to be as a therapist is like some kind of therapeutic human resources department where you're sitting someone down and saying, right, okay, what are your goals for this week? Because some of them might be very difficult, emotionally for people. This isn't a case of work-related goals. This might be small changes that people work on. So the advantages are, I guess, for me, highlighting what's wanted to be changed, and you're both working towards a common goal. The disadvantages are that people might not tell you if they've not achieved it. I used the word learning opportunity. I'm not going to use the word mistake. Many years ago, as a practitioner, where I was working with a client, and she came in and she said to me, I don't know how I bother coming here because I failed at that, what I said I was going to do last week. That was a big learning thing about the importance of how she took that goal away from, and how she felt as she failed when she failed to achieve it, or her perception of failure. And the challenges are wisdom. If somebody says, I want to leave my partner, I want to get a new job, and I want to move to the other side of the world, and I want to do that by 3 weeks' time, it might be that you need to think, well, actually, some of goals have to be realistic, I think.
Yeah.
And sometimes clients come with unrealistic goals, and sometimes that's the therapy. That's the work.
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic, and I guess also it's about looking at the modality of therapy that's being used. So if we were doing a cognitive model of therapy, we're going to be working towards goals, and we're going to break those goals down. We're going to have steps to be able to get there to the main goal. But if we look at something like person-centered therapy, where goals are maybe not considered as prominent, I would echo what Rory has said. When that client first presents and you say to that client, I wonder what it is that you're looking to get from coming to counseling, they're going to give you what they're looking for. They're going to give you their goal. And if you can kind of reflect that back, summarize it down and précis it, then you've got something that you are together working towards with this client, and something you can measure against. And as Rory, I work as a clinical supervisor, and in supervision, sometimes supervisees bring difficulty with endings of relationships. You've got this, and I don't know, is it time to end now, or do we carry on going? And one of the ways of looking at the ending, or one of the signs or indicators, the ending of a therapeutic relationship is where the goal has been met, where the client has come in and said, I'm looking to try and get this. And then they've got this, and we can reflect that back and say, I remember when you first came in and you said you wanted to do X, Y, and Z. And with what you've just said now, I'm realizing you're actually doing it. You've actually got what you came in to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Eric Byrne, who was the founder of Transactional Analysis, based his whole therapy on our contracted therapy contracts.
Definitely.
So the idea was that initially in what we would call classic TA, you'd have a defined idea of what you're going to change. You'd work that with your therapist. Once that was changed, a contract had been completed, then you could either go off into the world and just be in the world, or you could then recontract for the next piece of work. And in TA, there is the school. I think it's the Steiner School of Contracting. Claude Steiner, I think, and I stand to be corrected, but I think it's Claude Steiner and the contracting school of therapy, and so it's challenging. I think, as you rightly say, CBT probably has more kind of goals built into it as a therapy, whereas person-centered therapy doesn't. It's philosophical, isn't it? There's no goal posting.
But with that underlying goal, with what they came in for in the first place, and I guess what we need to be mindful of, if you're working in a person, and this is the wisdom, you see, this all ties in to what you were saying there, Rory. The wisdom side of thing is a client may present, I'm making this up, this is not from practice, I need to speak to someone because I don't feel that I've got over the death of my father, is the presenting issue. And it can be inferred from that the goal may be to be more comfortable with the death of your father, or not be so kept up in that. But we may find that as that therapy starts unwrapping and starts becoming real within the therapy room, that's not what they're really bringing. That's what brought them in. That's what sat them in the chair in the first place. That's what they said was the issue. But it may be that there's other stuff that they haven't looked at, and we may see new goals or new directions unwrapping as the therapy unfolds. And with it being person-centered therapy, it's about us as the therapist recognizing that through the wisdom and redefining what that goal is with the client, so we know where we're going. I think it's in Alice in Wonderland where Alice meets the Cheshire Cat, and she says, well, where am I? And he says, well, where are you going? And she says, I don't know. And he says, well, then it doesn't really matter then, because if you don't have a goal, hey.